there because I'm not really getting that much benefits just playing it on Yuzu. Like I know a lot of people that are just like playing it there but they're not even gonna buy the game. Period, which is kind of sad. But unfortunately, that's the community that we're in. It's Sony or nothing.
Fair.
I
That's fair.
mean,
Don't say that
care
shit too
about what
loud.
the PlayStation guys say. Who gives a shit?
I honestly, when I followed Slow-Mo and Strictly and them, I have seen nothing but console war stuff come up on my feed. I'm not gonna
Dude,
lie,
that's what I'm
a
saying.
little peeved by it because I thought this shit was over. I really did.
It's never gonna be over.
Yeah, that shit never over.
I mean, I don't want to say I'm neutral because you can't be a neutral in this community, but it's like I like all three equally.
What you mean you can't be a neutral?
Because
I
this
always
community
hear that.
wants to point out the
I
whole
always
fake
hear that.
neutral shit.
I
and
always
it's
say
like-
that, but I mean,
it's like, dude, if I want to play on Xbox
What
one day,
is your
it's the PlayStation.
preference? What's your preference?
What's my
Alright,
preference?
alright, yo. So we live right now?
Oh, are we live? Finally?
Oh, what's
Okay,
up?
let's go.
My bad.
What's
Sorry
up,
about
guys?
the technical difficulties.
Shade.
Alright, yeah, let's make sure the mics are good. So let's do a quick mic
God,
check.
I hope my
Check
mic is
1 2
okay.
mic
test
check, mic check.
testing.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Okay.
God, I look like a weirdo in that profile picture.
Then change it.
Nah, it's fine.
Oh,
I was just showing off the strap that I got in the art fair a couple weeks ago.
big felt. My Mallory says that my profile picture looks angry, and that's exactly what it looks like when I'm at work.
Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. And so, welcome to episode 14 of Nest Talk. And this is your host, Theslykrow. And so this is the show where we talk about some of the big gaming headlines and what's trending in the gaming media. And as always, I'm here with my man, Agent Deli.
Hello, welcome to our show. Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate that, Krow. My name is Agent Deli. I'm a ex-Ubisoft AAA game developer, and now I work for the U.S. government.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely really good credibility there. And so I got my I got my homie Bam Bam V3 pulling up again.
Yo, what up, man? Appreciate you inviting me back again for another episode, back to back. I am not a game developer or ex-developer. I do not work for the U.S. government, but we are in here with royalty today.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a fellow Nintendo stan, TheMelodicPunk. Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you as always. And damn, I'm a Nintendo stan now. What's up? No, I really enjoy Nintendo. I enjoy all platforms. I prefer PC for the most part, but yeah, it's Melodic Punk. Thank you, Krow, for inviting me on. We've been trying to work the past couple of weeks to see when I was going to get on another one of these, but now I'm available for it. So let's go.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate your input from the last episode, and it's great to have you back. And so we do have a special guest here. We have the Ashen one, and we have the Queen of Scumcast, TheAshenLuca. Appreciate you pulling up.
So what's up, guys? Luca here for another guest appearance. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And she does one a very good show every Saturday at 7. I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really great show. It's very informative and also very entertaining as well with all the jokes that go on the show. So I definitely recommend the show. And so, so once again, welcome to episode 14. And this episode title is Nintendo and Piracy. So it looks like there is a common stigma among the PC gaming community that the common notion is to pirate all Nintendo games, and so we'll be having an interesting conversation of the piracy topic, where people are obsessed with Yuzu and they're emulating Nintendo games. So we'll be having an interesting conversation about that later on. But for now, let's start with the first topic, which is Far Cry 6. And, lately, Far Cry has gotten a really bad rep lately. And I think it's due to the open world fatigue that Ubisoft has created, over the years with many of the franchises. And honestly, in my personal opinion, my favorites in the series was Far Cry 2 and 3. And I really just enjoyed the, exploring the vibrant world. It's a very nice escape in the, in a tropical island. And I really did like the stealth elements in the game, the stealth takedowns, as well as the interesting weapons you get to unlock. So this time around in Far Cry 6, we're gonna have an interesting villain in Giancarlo Esposito, and he plays Anton Castillo, which is an evil dictator that rules the island. And hopefully this does play a bit in the whole villain aspect, as the last good Far Cry game was Far Cry 3, in my opinion. And so I'm gonna pass it to TheAshenLuca, and what was your impressions of Far Cry 6?
Been enjoying my time with Far Cry 6 for the most part. Like I have a little I have some gripes here and there, but for the most part it's pretty good. I will say that from what I played of Far Cry 5, I'm pretty sure that was the last one I played. It is very similar, very much a if you covered my eyes and asked me which one I was playing, I would have no idea. I'd be like, I don't know. It's like they're that similar in regards to gameplay elements and everything like that. At least this time we have a voiced protagonist who actually has like a personality, which is great. Danny's great. I really like her. I think she's fun. But like compared to what we've been getting since 4, I mean, what can you really say? Like, it's anything is a step up. What I do like is that they have these cutscenes, which is it's pretty great. It's pretty great. The cutscenes are funny, and after the whole Cyberpunk fiasco, I just thought it was pretty funny. I was like, not Far Cry 6 having third-person cutscenes and Cyberpunk not. But yeah, I've been enjoying my time with it. The only thing I don't really like about the game is the whole, I guess, tether system that goes on with it. So essentially, it's like you have to do these escort-esque missions where you're following someone or they're following you, and if you get too far ahead, the mission restarts. Like in the beginning of the game, I accidentally went down the tightrope. What are those things called where you slide down them?
The zip line.
Oh,
The zip line. I went down the zip line during a mission where this chick was like taking 18 years to walk over to the tower, right? And the mission restarted. Now the thing of it was like I had to bribe a guard in order to get the information the first time around. So because the mission restarted, I still had to re-bribe the guard, and it had taken my money initially. So I was like down 40 coins when it should have just been 20. I was like, what the heck, dude? And then like there's been other instances where I was walking with some dude and I like accidentally went on ahead with him and it restarted. And they, the AI is kind of like dumb, so it takes forever for them to get over to where they're supposed to be. So there's that. But yeah, I'm enjoying the story so far. It's pretty basic, I must admit. Like, there's a dictator, he's awful, it's a revolution, with typical stuff basically. Giancarlo Esposito plays Anton Castillo, and so far, like I'm still early in the game, he just seems like another, hey, this dude's a dictator. Let's see if he has any nuance as we continue on with the story. But I did like the opening cutscene. I feel like it set the tone very well, and really introduced you to this world that you're going to be exploring. At the same time, it has that Far Cry silliness with it. So you get a pet crocodile by the name of Guapo, and he is a handsome boy, and I love him. And anytime I'm playing the game, I'm like, Guapo, no! Anytime he goes down, I think it's so much fun. But I'm loving it. I'm loving the gunplay. Like I said, the last game I think I played is Far Cry 5, but I 100% did not beat that game. So it's been quite some time since I've played a Far Cry game. So I think that's why I'm able to like go through it without feeling that that really heavy fatigue that people have been talking about with this game. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure. And for me, like I felt really burnt out after completing Far Cry 3. And but I did watch Victor Lucas's review, and if you don't know Victor Lucas, he was on G4 TV back in the day, and he had a show called Reviews on the One. So nowadays he's on YouTube on the Electric Playground Network, And so I did watch this review, and he did say a lot of good things about it. How it's a lot of diverse mini games you get to play. Like you get to race on an ATV, and it's also like horse races and things like that.
You missing the main thing, bro. The cockfighting, bro. You can fight these roosters Mortal Kombat style, bro. And you can like unlock different roosters.
Yeah,
They,
definitely
like
saw
they
that
act
on
like they
Twitter
all
though.
got bro. The
That
roosters
was
in the
crazy.
game, like I always buy like Far Cry. Like I bought Far Cry 3, played it, didn't beat that shit. I bought Far Cry 4, played it, didn't beat that shit. I bought Far Cry 5, I played it, I couldn't beat that shit. But I feel like with Far Cry 6, I feel like that factory that they got these games going in, where they just cookie cutting these games and they all got the same mechanics, the same everything. I feel like with this one, I feel like they might have put some hot sauce on this shit or something, because I think I might beat this one, because the gameplay for me, I really am appreciating the gameplay around this time. Maybe just because I ain't played Far Cry in about a couple years. But the story is also, I'm liking the story and I'm liking the dialogue. Like there's one character named Juan. He's like a Colombian drunk. Like that guy's hilarious. He's the guy you get guapo from. And by the way, it is chorizo over guapo every day of the week. Nobody choose guapo, choose chorizo, the little wiener dog with the wheelchair. Choose him. Forget what Luca said.
Wait, what does chorizo do that guapo doesn't? Like what?
Forget what Luke. Listen to me.
How does
Anybody,
chorizo help with
listen to me.
gameplay? Does he help you out?
Chorizo
in the
runs up. Oh yes, he does. So
Okay,
check
let me
this out.
hear
Right?
it.
So this is what chorizo does. Let me go ahead and paint the scene for you.
Okay.
Chorizo. Let's say you run up to a FND base. You see like 10 guards out there talking. Boom. Chorizo. Go get him. Boom. Chorizo go run up to him. You know what I'm saying? Chorizo in his little squeak. And by the way, this guy's wheelchair squeaks every time he moves. The shit is hilarious. So he squeaks up to the guards. He doesn't attack the guards or anything. He just barks at the guards, giving you enough time to activate your Supremo, which is another thing I feel like Far Cry this time around added into the game, which I absolutely love. But I got the Supremo that shoots out like 10 fucking missiles. So boom, you drop the missiles on all the guards while they looking at Chorizo, and then Chorizo saves the day.
Okay. Well, I prefer guapo tearing into people personally, but whatever. To each their own.
Hey, love over hate, Luca. Love over hate.
Hate over love, bestie.
Yeah, so there is also a weapon crafting system. That's what I've seen from the review as well. And also, if you do see it in the trailer, you do see them using custom-made weapons. And this kind of reminds me of kind of like a Fallout type of vibe. Also, like a Last of Us, how you collect the materials in order to craft the weapons. So, Luca, how do you feel about the weapon crafting system in this game?
So far, I'm just currently looking for a good scope for my snipers. I'm a sniper girl. I like chilling out in the back and slowly taking enemies down and then like sneaking in, everything like that. I'm a kind of a stealth player when it comes to that stuff. So right now, like I said, I'm just looking for the right scope for my my sniper rifle and seeing where we can go from there. Because the scope I have now is like really bad and really affects like the level of what is the word? Effectiveness of the gun, So I'm just hoping to get a better one soon. I haven't played in a couple of days. I actually have not been really in a gaming mood lately, but I do think Far Cry 6 is fun, and I do think I'll beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of new interesting things. I'm not sure if this was in Far Cry 5. I haven't played the game as of late. There is a new, I think this is new, it's a grappling hook you can use, and also a parachute. And I've seen this one scene where he was using the parachute and landing into a cave in order to infiltrate an outpost. So I thought that was pretty cool. How it's kind of like a James Bond kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so the game is rated at a Metacritic. On Metacritic, it is for a 76 rating. So it's not bad. But these are the critics basically. But as far as the user reviews, they are pretty mixed, and many people seem to dislike it. I'm not sure if they haven't put that many hours into the game with their review, but but some of the people who do like it, they do say it's the best in the franchise. And
That's
so
how I feel about it.
that's a huge deal. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you guys think this is, a good step forward, or how do you guys feel about that
I
statement?
think that's true, and I think them going, and doing a whole different type of thing with this make believe island is like Cuba, because the music is also fire. But I feel like this is probably the next best step for Far Cry, in my opinion.
I definitely think it's probably better than 4 and 5. I definitely think that, just because the protagonist has a personality. As for, I don't know, I feel like they need to change things up because it is stale and at this point. I don't know if they want to do like a drastic shift like they did with the Assassin's Creed series, because even though that first one was like, oh, this is pretty cool, I did end up getting really tired of Assassin's Creed Origins and really angry by the end of that game. I was like, damn, why is this game so long? Like, it
That's
had a
facts.
fake ending like 30 times. I was really angry.
That's
And,
facts.
Mandatory side quests and all that.
Like, it was just so
Mhm.
bad. It was so bad. So I mean, I feel like the game does need a fresh coat of paint, or the franchise that is needs a fresh coat of paint. But it just, I don't know. As it stands right now, it's the story is what's holding it together, and I'm having fun with it. So
Question for you, Luca. Do you think whenever you go to did you do the part with like the Monteros? Did you go to the Montero camp or whatever that place was called?
so currently I am on the island outside of the prologue, and
Yeah.
I'm talking to, I think it's, what is it, the Monteros? I think it's them.
Yeah.
And
Okay, yeah. So
the old man was like fighting a crocodile, trying to be cool and
mhm,
stuff. I'm like, dude,
yeah.
you are not cool. Like, cut that out. Anyway,
Facts. Okay, but
um, yeah.
when they let you run around in third person view, do you think if Ubisoft made this game third person view, do you think that would help the game a lot more? Because I feel like them having that little section where you can run around in third person view and actually see the character and see your customization. I feel like that should be in the game, fully to run around in third person and play in third person view.
That is a interesting concept. I'm good with how it is right now with the first person stuff. I like first person gameplay with like third person cutscenes. I'm actually a big fan of that. So
Mhm.
I'm good with that. I feel like they would need to do something, but I'm not sure what it would be exactly. Maybe something with the gameplay, but having a focused story is a good step right now. Especially with, like I said, with the protagonist having not interesting, but having a personality, not being a blank slate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Right, yeah. And going back to Victor Lucas's review, he does say it's a very good escape on a tropical island, as you do with all the Far Cry games. But this time around, you are taking, you're not only taking out military outposts, you're also taking out oil refineries. And there's this whole political storyline where, you know, the military has overrun its population, and there's a huge deal of the plants that have a monetary value to for Anton Castillo. So, so yeah. So do you think as far as the storyline, do you think this is one of the best in the franchise?
You want to answer that, Luca?
Yeah, I think it's too soon to tell. Like I said, I'm only about 3 hours in, so I need more time with it.
Yeah, I feel like the story is headed into a pretty good direction. I feel like it might hit a crescendo pretty soon, where I'm at in the game. But Far Cry has never had an issue with its villains. The villains are always top notch in Far Cry. That's not the game's problem. So I don't think I don't think this can be the best story, because Far Cry 3, to me, I got towards the end, but I feel like that story was probably the best so far.
Yeah. I really liked Voss and Far Cry 3, and the whole insanity line. That was
Yeah, I feel like Voss hasn't been topped yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and I remember in Far Cry 3 had a lot of good moments. Like there was this one moment where you had to take out it was like a weed farm, and in that mission, once you put out the flamethrower, like they played that Skrillex song, make it bun them, and That was such an epic moment in that game personally, and it
Yeah, I
made
feel
the
like
game
they.
really hype.
Yeah, I feel like they just keep trying to catch the hype of Far Cry 3, especially with these villains. Like I said, the villains are always great, but I don't think they'll ever reach that success that they had with Far Cry 3.
Okay,
You like that they are like the villains are slightly different in each game, you know? They're not all the same copy paste villain, you know? So
Hmm.
I see that they're really trying with that, and I appreciate that. And Giancarlo Esposito he's an amazing actor, so that was
That's
a really
Gus.
good get on their part.
hmm
That's Gus. That's Gus.
Yeah, it's also what's his face from The Boys.
and also
Oh yeah, the
the
guy.
Mandalorian, like the final episodes of the Mandalorian with Giancarlo was really epic.
Yeah, it was fire.
Especially that
Mhm.
last scene was really cool where he pulled out the dark saber.
Hmm.
That
He.
was, yeah, that was
I
he.
jumped out of my seat during that episode.
Yeah, and so I did want to bring up, Luca did make a tweet here. So she did say, I'm not sure if this is intended towards Far Cry, but she did say, I would like to fist fight all the devs who thought escort missions was a good thing. And so, I wanted to pass it to Agent Deli here, and so what are your thoughts on Ubisoft sticking to its tried and boring formula of escort missions and the overall game design and things like that?
I mean, I think they're protecting their bottom dollar. At the end of the day, they're in the business to make money, not in the business to make games. These products are uh, shiny and pretty for people to get lured in and buy them. Because at the end of the day, what's gonna end up happening is that once you buy the game for $60 or whatever that you buy the game for, like a lot of the time, studios under Ubisoft don't necessarily support these games for very long past the launch window. Very few games in Ubisoft's history in the last decade have had post launch window support. I think Far Cry 3 was the longest one with Blood Dragon. So yeah, I think that Ubisoft is just continuing to do their thing, man.
Shout out to Ubisoft.
Never change,
Okay.
Ubisoft. We
Never
need you.
change.
We need you in the game, buddy.
Right, and as for your experience working with the Watchdogs Legion, um, they did borrow many monotonous aspects to the from other games. So can you like maybe elaborate on that? Why is it that they do stick with their tried and true formula?
I don't think I'm understanding the question.
So it seems that Ubisoft doesn't seem to innovate from their past titles. So how do you
Oh,
feel
okay.
about them sticking to the tried and true formula from like just sticking to what works in their other games, basically?
Oh. Well, at the end of the day, when it comes down to working in the actual studio environment, we don't have a lot of autonomy as game developers. A lot of our work gets undermined, thrown in the trash, pushed aside, because we aren't. Unfortunately, we are not the ones making the real decisions. The real decisions are, whatever we do, we shoot it up in either in emails or whatever, or in boardroom meetings, and those guys decide what's going on. And a lot of the time, the decisions aren't made in our own building or our own studio. They're made across the world, or they're made in a different time zone, or they're made elsewhere with people who don't actually play the game or actually understand game development. A lot of these guys are lawyers and producers and C-level executives. A lot of these guys are not in touch with the product. They just understand that this is probably the easiest way to make things. Their
Mm.
idea, I guess, is that an Ubisoft game has a template, so let's continue to make the template. Kind of how like Michael Bay films. Michael Bay rips off his own template, and it's like it gets to a point where like every movie is pretty much the exact same, like, you know, within this last decade, and that's exactly what Ubisoft's doing. They're relying too much on the editorial team making the same decisions, because if we all are on the editorial team, if us five specifically, and it doesn't matter what game series we're on, if we're on Splinter Cell, if we're on Ghost Recon, if we're on Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, when it's time to make decisions, a lot of the time my decisions aren't going to change, and a lot of the time y'all's decisions aren't going to change, just because there's a lot of extra outside forces at play as well too, money, investors, X and Y. So if there's no real push to influence our decision, then every game, no matter the franchise, is going to be the exact same. So, you know, like, hey, Luca hates escort missions, so we're not gonna have escort missions in the game, and we all vote on it, and we say no escort missions, and then it doesn't matter how loud the people, you know, are vocal on the internet or whatever it may be. Oh, we love escort missions; they're so good in Far Cry X and, you know, Assassin's Creed Y. It's like if Luca's opinion never changes about escort missions, then she'll always vote against them. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
so-
sense to me. That makes sense to me. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I do have to go. I didn't expect the tweet to get the attention that it did. I was just like really annoyed and it was about Far Cry, okay? But I don't like escort missions in general, so. All right, boys. Sorry I couldn't stay later.
No, it's all good. You know
All
what?
good.
I will enjoy escort missions. So if you want to fist fight sometime, come through.
All right, sounds good. But yeah, I will hit you guys up later. Peace.
All right.
All right, be
Peace,
good.
Luca.
Have a good night.
You too, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, yeah,
And
you
there
know,
were only four.
appreciate Luca for stopping by. And so yeah, I did want to go into, you know, the recent and upcoming games list. So let's move on to that. And so we do have Riftbreaker. And let me just pull this up. Yeah, so we do have Riftbreaker coming up on October the 14th, and this is a sci-fi base building survival game with RPG elements. And you know, it is coming on Game Pass, so that's a pretty big deal. And it's a lot of, you know, really good bangers on Game Pass. And you know, my backlog is looking really hectic right now with the amount of games on it. But you know, this does definitely look interesting with all the gameplay, and the graphics are pretty on point as well on with this game. So have you guys heard of Riftbreaker?
I have
Not
not.
until just now. Yeah, but go ahead, Punk. You got it.
I
have
was just
not.
saying I haven't heard of it. And shout out to Game Pass. So there is a lot of stuff that I'm like interested in, like looking to play on Game Pass. I know Solar Ash. I don't think that's a Game Pass game, is it?
No.
I don't think so.
That's
Can you
on
confirm?
PlayStation.
Okay, I was just looking at it, but yeah, like I was gonna comment with Krow when it came to the backlog stuff. It's like pretty much when you purchase Game Pass every month, you basically buy a backlog. So,
Yeah.
but it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing at all, though. But continue, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, this is a, you know, a pretty cool game. It's kind of like it's a wave-based shooter with sci-fi base building. So, you know, it definitely looks interesting. And, you know, once again, it is coming out on October the 14th, which is tomorrow. So it's a pretty cool get. And so moving on here, let's move on to the Dark Pictures House of Ashes. And so this is going to be your spooky game of the month, as it will be launching on October the 21st, which is right before Halloween. And you know, I did watch a few streams of Madame Medan, and you know, it's a very interesting game. It's kind of like Until Dawn from PS4 and those type of games. And so, you know, would you guys be would you guys be interested in purchasing or getting House of Ashes?
I am down to pick up the whole anthology as soon as they release all the episodes. Like I told you guys earlier,
yeah.
this House of Ashes is co-op. It is confirmed to be co-op for this episode. So that would definitely be a pretty good play, play with anybody you want to play with. But for me personally, I am waiting for all the episodes to release at one time before I, go out and buy this.
Hmm. Yeah, what I really like about it is that there's a lot of different branching storylines and different choices you do have to make. So it is pretty interesting in that regard. And
Yeah, that'll definitely
the
increase the
story also
replayability.
gets pretty intense as well. It's like a lot of jump scares, especially in Madame Medan. Like you get like so much like super jump scares in that game.
Yeah. Is that the one that's on the boat? The Man of Medan, right? That's the one that's on the boat. That's the first episode, right? When they're on the ship. I think that's the first episode, right? Right, Krow?
No. This is like you're traveling with a group of people, and you're trying to make your way to the I believe it's like to a forest and to trying to meet your destination. A lot of things happen along the way, and the group gets split up,
Mm-hmm.
and some paranormal being gets like they get basically embodied with paranormal beings along the way, and they're trying to solve the mystery. So that's what it's.
I got you. Yeah, so that's the Salem Witch Hunt trial one because they got 2 episodes out right now. The first one was the one on the boat, and the second one is the Salem Witch Hunt trials. But I got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a very, very good streaming game. If you have any your favorite streamers, this is definitely a good game to if you're kind, you can gift them the game, and it's definitely a very good interactive experience. And so let's move on to Solar Ash. And so this is this was shown in the PlayStation event, the PS Connect back then. Or was it the State of Play? Yeah, it was the State of Play back then, and this has a very interesting art style. It reminds me of Hyper Light Drifter, and it has a lot of cool puzzle mechanics as well. And I feel like this year has been really hot right now for indies, and the indie scene is looking really, really special this year. And so what do you guys think about this game coming up, Solar Ash?
I want to say real quick that about a couple hours ago, they said that Solar Ash got delayed to December.
Damn.
Oh,
And that
for
Heart
real?
Machine official said we are delaying the release of Solar Ash until December 2nd, 2021. I'll link the tweet
Oh,
over.
no way. Dang.
That's crazy.
Okay.
And I'll send that over real quick.
But that game definitely does look good. And just like
That
you
game
said,
looks
Krow,
fantastic.
and just like Krow said, this has been the year for indies because to me, I don't think any AAA game is keeping up with these indies right now because these indies are coming out. The art style for these games are beautiful. They're launching, with like no glitches, and these are just AA studios or little tiny indie studios that are outperforming these big AAA studios, and I do applaud them for that.
Yeah, I think Game Awards this year is going to be really interesting because, like, I've not played every single indie game that's released this year, but quite a few of them I can tell you that it's definitely they're going to duke it out. It's going to be the year of the
Yeah.
indies.
Did you play Death's Door, Punk?
I have Death's Door. I have not beaten it yet. I need to get back to it, but I love it as a Zelda fan because it kind
Yeah.
of has that like Link Between Worlds like 2.5D art style and has a lot of cool like ways like you could like I don't know how to describe it. It's like the diorama, like some sections of the map you can go to get item upgrades and it'll automatically like change the camera around, which Zelda doesn't even do that. And then it has like the Souls like stuff going for it when it comes to like using some of the souls of the enemies to buy upgrades and everything like that. But my actual pick, besides Returnal, if we're going to talk exclusively about indies, I mean, you can technically call this an indie, but Psychonauts 2, blown away by it. I got every achievement in it. I absolutely love that game.
So would you
Yeah.
really call Psychonauts 2 an indie game? Is it like
The
how
only-
how would you classify an indie game? Like, do you think it's based on the number of devs that's working for it, or do you think like it's based on the art style, or
The only
type of-
reason I classified it as an indie game because it was crowdfunded at first. Obviously, like they had to cut the boss battles out originally due to budgeting concerns, and until Microsoft, Xbox Game Studios bought out Double Fine. So I mean, I don't know if you can really truly classify it as an indie game, but at its core, like coming from the fact that it was crowdfunded, I guess I would probably classify it as an indie game that has a AAA pricing. But either
Yeah.
way, like that, like a lot of people, dismiss that game because of the art style or because it's, an Xbox studio game because they might have an allegiance with other platforms, which makes no sense because the game is a multi-platform game. But it's one of those games that I think just like was like a sleeper hit this year to me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, you can have big indie studios. I mean, an indie game is essentially anything that isn't funded by a larger publisher or isn't attached to a publisher
Like
in
CD
any way.
Projekt Red, for example.
Yeah, like CD Projekt Red is technically a indie company. It is an independent company that they aren't owned by anybody. Platinum Games is another studio. You know, the guys behind Bayonetta. Those
Yeah.
guys are an independent game studio. Insomniac was an independent game studio for quite a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Solar Ash is definitely looking pretty promising, and with the level of the art design is looking really really special in that game, and really like the puzzles from the trailer. So this definitely looks pretty good. And so,
But unfortunately, we gotta wait till
yeah,
December.
unfortunately,
For
it is going to be delayed until December, which is kind of
A bummer.
kind of a bummer
Yeah.
there. All right, so let's move on to Widest Republic, and this got delayed from the September release. Looks like they were, fixing up, polishing up the game, and they did have a recent test on PC, and a lot of people seem to have really liked it, really liked it, and we do have Lyric streaming the game, and it had a lot of attention. And so this is, they're calling it an open world sports paradise and a massive multiplayer playground. And you can, basically ride a lot of different things here. You can ride, a BMX bike. You can ride a snowboard. There's also a man riding a candy. What was it, like an ice cream shop wheel cart or something like that.
An ice cream truck?
It's a lot of yeah.
they
That's
can get
what
a
I mean.
glider and stuff in that game too.
Yeah, it's also air traversal as well. So and the environments look pretty promising here. It's a very cool escape from what I'm seeing. And I think this is a really good get for Ubisoft on the Ubisoft subscription service, and it's a pretty cool game to play as a community game with friends. And so how you guys feeling about Widest Republic?
I feel like I played this game already, bro. Because Ubisoft already dropped Steep, and Steep was legit what this game is, except for except for minus the other environments that's not in the snow. So I feel like I definitely played this game before. Depending on who all gets it, I might get it, to play with some friends or whatnot. But I don't see me going out and getting this day one at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't think any of my friends are gonna get it, so it'd probably be a pass for me.
I was gonna say the same thing. I don't think anybody in my circle is getting this game. Although from the trailer at E3, it looked really interesting because I like extreme sports type of stuff, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'll try it, but I wouldn't be sad if I skipped out on it.
Yeah, like the game
yeah.
looks good and everything, bro. Like the game looks good. Like the environments are beautiful. I'm liking the different traversal, vehicles that you can use. It's just like I said, I feel like I played this game already. So it's like, what am I going out and buying? Like, what am I going to be doing different than I did in Steep already?
Yeah, for a community game, I think Forza Horizon is really hard to top that. Especially with that game coming up the month after. But this does have private lobbies and things like that. So maybe some streamers might have a lot of good excitement with this game.
Yeah. Do you think this game is going to sell well, Krow, or do you think it's going to flop? But I think this
I
shit
think
might
it has
flop.
a better potential than the Crew. You remember the Crew from
Yeah,
Ubisoft?
Yeah, the crew was trash.
yeah, I
Sorry,
remember that.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it has more potential than the Crew, but I don't see the sales doing that well for it. But like I said, I mean, the Ubisoft Plus subscription, I think that's gonna be really good for this type of game.
My
People do you
opinion.
think will subscribe to Ubisoft Plus? Do you think that this game would prosper from being on Game Pass or PlayStation Now better than being on Ubisoft streaming or whatever that thing is that they have?
Yeah,
Because I
for
feel
sure.
like
No,
this,
They really need to get a deal with Ubisoft, man. Like Microsoft
yeah.
gotta work something out with the Ubisoft Plus subscription.
Hmm.
That'll be really huge if they can try and get that service on their platform.
Hey, but shout out to Ubisoft.
Shout out.
yeah,
Shout
never
out to
change.
Ubisoft.
Yeah,
Never change.
yeah.
Make the same game.
They're trying new things, So
My opinion is I don't think this game will sell enough for us to see a Riders Republic 2, and that's the only thing I'm gonna say.
AKA a Steep Part 3. I feel you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. That's all I got. That's all I got. I got nothing else to say.
All right, yeah. So yeah, if you guys are interested, you can check out Riders Republic on October the 28th. And so let's actually move on to Back for Blood. And yeah, so Back for Blood, a lot of people are really really liking this game as it's as a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series. And I did see a tweet from Betty Sales, and although it may not seem like a huge number, it's he did say that this did beat the concurrent peak for the original Left 4 Dead game. And so he did tweet out that Back 4 Blood on launch day, it had 39K concurrent Steam players. So that's a huge deal considering that Game Pass is on PC as well. So a lot of people did go out and support the game and the developers, which is really great to see. And honestly, I think this is a really big year for Game Pass, as there's a lot of really good community games coming up. We have Forza Horizon 5 as well as Halo Infinite coming later this year. And so, how do you guys feel about Back 4 Blood?
Back for Blood, bro, is fire. Me and you played the game last night. My only issue I have with Back for Blood being out is with these reviewers and with these people on Twitter that follow these reviewers and just live by every word and that little number at Metacritic. Go out, play the game for yourself, because the game is definitely worth a playthrough if you have people to play with, or even if you have one buddy to squad up with. As long as you got somebody else to play with, and I know we always say any game can be fun with friends, but Back for Blood definitely scratches that Left 4 Dead itch, because this isn't this the same studio that made Left 4 Dead? They just branched off and then they made Turtle Rock Studios. So this game is legit Left 4 Dead 3. The gameplay is fire. The graphics, the game is beautiful. The AI is very, very challenging, even on the normal difficulty, as Krow knows, because we was playing on
Yes,
normal
facts,
yesterday
yeah.
and we were struggling last night. So this game is definitely, again, I'm going to keep saying this. Play the game for yourself. Stop listening to these fucking reviewers who don't beat these games that they review anyways, and come up with an opinion for yourself before you go out and crucify a game.
Man, with that smoke already, man.
I know.
Yeah, bro. They got to hear that shit, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I played the open beta to this game back when it was like first. No, it was a closed beta because I ended up getting a free key from somebody, and I was playing with a group of people. I love Left 4 Dead. I played Left 4 Dead 2 all the time on 360. It was one of the first games I got with my 360. Also a blast on Steam. I played it with a bunch of friends in high school once I got into PC gaming. And Back 4 Blood's a good, palate cleanser for those wanting a good co-op game. That's the spiritual success for the Left 4 Dead. There's some things that Left 4 Dead does better when it comes to like the physics and all that stuff, but the thing I like about Back 4 Blood is as you progress through the levels, you get the cards to not only like better yourself as a player, but I believe they also have cards that have modifiers for each round that you go into. I think that adds to the difficulty of the main campaigns. Because I remember back during the beta, me and a couple of people, we were playing through the campaign, and on our third mission, we got a card that made all the zombies have armor on it. So we had to use even more ammo to, kill them off and everything like that. The reason why I haven't played the retail game yet is because number one, I was busy yesterday, and number two, the one thing I don't like about this game, especially because Left 4 Dead does it better, is the game apparently doesn't give you achievements when you play solo. I don't know if we can confirm or deny that, but punishing your player for not having everybody available to play your game is really sus in my opinion. But again, this type of game is best enjoyed with a group of friends anyway.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
eventually I do want to play the retail version. I have it downloaded on Game Pass on PC. And if I enjoy it enough, who knows, I might buy it on Steam.
Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting that you did bring up the card aspect, and there's a lot of interesting perks you get to unlock from the many different quest lines in the like a different options, the branching options you get to choose when you get into the main outpost. But for in my opinion, I think the Crow's Nest, the tree line, is the best right now because it does have a lot of stamina perks. But maybe later on in the other trees, there's some better perks you get that better enhance your experience.
Yeah, that's a good tip he gave you too, Melodic. Like when you do start playing the game, focus on getting all stamina cards before you do anything.
Oh
else.
yeah, I was doing that in the beta. I was getting all the health and stamina cards because doing anything like running or jumping, you lose so much stamina. And a game where you have to be active, especially getting away from the horde, yeah, stamina is really important in this game.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely need that because later on, when you get deeper into like I said, even with Act 1, the deeper you get into Act 1, the more special infected that they start throwing at you. Like they'll throw 2 bruisers, they'll throw 3 tall boys, and then they'll throw a Spider-Man just up in the corner somewhere hiding, bro. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man will be up there in the corner with his web shooter, still web you down, bro. Yo, the game is fucking crazy, and there's so much value in the game to me, and with these cards and the replayability factor that I think, to me, I feel like this is probably what could have made Left 4 Dead be, really reach that top tier, and reach that better phenomenon of what it already had. Because Left 4 Dead was good, but it definitely had some faults too.
My only gripe with this game, and who knows, maybe they'll add it down the line. One of the things that made Left 4 Dead such a blast to play to this day on PC was the modding community. If they can open up this game to like Steam Workshop or just allow any sort of mods to where you can use on both console and PC, I think this game would have a lot more longevity. Because I don't know if this game is going to last as long as something like Left 4 Dead, but food for thought. Put a mod community in this game, and it'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so actually, I was playing it with Bam Bam and also Windu. Windu was streaming it, and what's up with all these exploders hiding and lurking? Trying to gank you. Like that's that was mad annoying.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like that's what I was saying earlier. With like the AI, like the AR is well, not the AR. My fault. The AI is hella smart in the game. It's just like Krow was saying. Those boomer like bruiser enemies, they will hide behind a corner just like in Left 4 Dead, and they will wait for you to walk by to blow up and explode on you, and then the horde comes, and then that's your ass.
Yeah,
it's very very smart AI design, and it's kind of scripted in some areas, but it is pretty challenging AI. And so I am going to read a review in progress from PC Gamer. And so he says, Back 4 Blood is a big game, and having finished the first act of 4, it's clear I'm just now getting into the meat of it. I feel like I've already played 1.5 of Left 4 Dead in that time, so map variety probably won't be an issue this time around. That said, it's a shame that Turtle Rock has no plans for official modding tools, a perk that has kept Left 4 Dead 2 and other Source games alive with new free content years after release. Maybe somebody will find a way, but I'll doubt that. I'll never be able to click one button and turn Back 4 Blood Tall Boy into a Shrek. Yeah, we actually came up with a lot of interesting names for all the characters. Like we call the uh we call it the four-legged zombie that climbs on walls Spider-Man. I think we called Tall Boy Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, we call him
And
Mr. Fantastic because he stretches his arm out and grab you like
Is
Mr.
Marvel
Fantastic.
Zombies the game?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah,
No,
so that
I
was pretty funny.
I know one of the monsters in this game I'm calling Doomsday because I remember going against him in the beta. Dude, as soon as we ran into that room, that giant ass zombie that's like sitting there in the tunnel
Oh yeah.
picks my ass up, throws me across, downs me, and then my teammate goes in, picks his ass up, throws him across. It was
Yeah.
terrible. Luckily, we were able to get out of there. I think I died in the process because they couldn't revive me in time. But yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where it becomes a trip when playing with people.
It's definitely a good time, and I'm definitely going to go out and buy this game on PS5 to directly support the developers because I know right now I'm playing on Game Pass, but I do enjoy the game, and I do want to see Turtle Rock Studios make more of these games, or even just add DLCs and mod packs. So I am going to go out and buy this game for my PS5 just to show some extra support.
Wait, and is it just
that's
me,
what's
or
up.
does Walker look like Long Beach Griffey?
Hey, facts. Facts. What you was gonna say, Krow?
Yeah, that's what's up, man. It's very good to support the devs, and hopefully they do make really good co-op games like this in the future. And as I was saying before, like this is a very good year for Xbox. I know this is on PS5 as well, but this is a very good year for Game Pass in my opinion. The fact that we have a lot of really good social aspect games, with Back 4 Blood on Game Pass. Also, Forza Horizon 5, that's going to be pretty big coming up, and also Halo Infinite later this year.
I'm excited for Infinite, dude. Holy crap.
Sir,
Yeah,
yes,
man,
sir.
that beta was crazy, but
Facts.
we
Yeah,
We
didn't
can talk
didn't
about
play
that shit
Team
all
Battle.
day, Krow. We can talk about that shit all day.
Yeah.
You don't want to get us started, bro. Telling you, man.
Hey, yeah, so Back 4 Blood is definitely a hit, and you guys should check it out. And so let's move on to our next topic, which is actually Marvel's Avengers. And so actually they are now introducing paid XP boosts, and a lot of the community is in disarray from this news, as already the Avengers game itself, the community has really it has a bad rep of the game. And now that they've introduced the paid XP boost, that's like a huge slap in the face. And Square Enix actually did hold a press conference back then, right before the initial reveal of the game. And one spokesperson said that as a promise to the community, we won't have random loot boxes or pay to win scenarios. And so I this is like a really really miscommunication that's being addressed here. And so how do you guys feel about this in a PR? Is this
You
really...
gotta call it what it is, Krow. That's not miscommunication. That's a fucking lie. They look, man. They came out and said that they weren't gonna do it, right? And then they did it anyways. My only hope is that the fans and Marvel see this, and after because I think they're doing the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? They got that game coming out next month. I hope after these guys are done with this, I hope Marvel pulls away this license and stops Square Enix from making these games, because the dollar brand Walmart version of the Avengers was trash anyways. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that I'm praying that people wake up, especially Marvel, and I hope that they take away, the whole license away from Square Enix, because they don't fucking deserve it. How do you come out and say that you're not going to do loot boxes or paid XP boosts or paid anything inside the game, and then you come out and do it anyways?
Yeah, the fact that Sony and Insomniac can make a game like Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales and just make a good game instead of trying to make it a games as a service to squeeze every dollar out of consumer, it's really embarrassing on Square Enix and Eidos Montreal's end. I bought the Avengers a couple weeks ago for like $5 on PS5. I got the PS5 version instead of playing it on Game Pass because I love Spider-Man. I want to eventually play the Spider-Man content in this game. And I figured there's not a whole lot coming out. Let me just have this in the collection just so I can just play through the story mode. I have no intentions on playing the multiplayer in this game anyway, but especially with having the option to buy XP boosters for this character, it's really sus, and I don't like that at all.
Do you think Spider-Man is still coming, or do you think this shit is never coming at all? Because this game has been out for what, a year?
Shit, this game basically flopped. I'd be surprised if it still did come out.
Yeah, Spider-Man definitely ain't coming. Oh no, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I did see this I did see this meme on Reddit here, and so it says like there's a crystal dynamic with Iron Man, and Iron Man is punching Captain America, and on the Captain America side it says community dealing with over a year's worth of crippling bugs, delays, unfinished or lacking content, irrelevant updates, lack of communication, and overall poor management of IP. So it's a lot of huge issues that the community has been dealing with, and this is seems like a huge slap in the face, introducing microtransactions. And I feel like it's because that this game has recently launched on Xbox Game Pass, which has lots of easy accessibility. Like, you're getting more and more engagement to your game. So I feel like they're doing this on purpose, just to try to make a quick buck off of these guys getting into the game via Game Pass.
That's facts. They definitely trying to get a quick buck because they seen those Sony numbers before when the game wasn't on Game Pass. Hardly anybody continued to play this game. It went on Game Pass. It got a new breath of fresh air, and then they was like, "Let me go ahead. Let's do this shit for one last time to try to get as much money as we can before the game fully dies." Because if it wouldn't have came to Game Pass, I don't think they would have even announced this paid XP boost, to be honest.
Honestly, with this being in a games as a service scenario, I think they should have just launched this game in Game Pass in the first place. Not necessarily because I want them to, but it's like, if you're making this type of game, you might as well make it like a free-to-play game, because at that point, it's like, all right, you can play the content that's there for free, or if you want to invest a little bit more, we got options for you to where you can spend money in the game. Because, like, Outriders, imagine if Outriders came out without even being in Game Pass. Imagine how much bigger of a failure that game would have been if that game didn't launch into Game Pass.
That's a good point.
I think developers need to take note. It's like, if you're going to do, this whole games of service thing, they need to look at games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Splitgate. They need to take notes and say, like, hey, if we want to potentially try to push microtransactions and all that, we need to not charge $60 on top of all this shit, or else nobody's going to buy our game in the first place.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge issue. But the thing I will say about Marvel's Avengers, I did try it out on Game Pass, is that I can't deny the quality that's put into the story of this game. I do think they did put a lot of effort into making a really good story. It's just a sad fact that the community is dealing with all these issues, with the the broken promises and things like that. You did say, Melodic, about the Spider-Man thing, and it's unfortunate that they didn't deliver on delivering Spider-Man to the PlayStation folk. So that's so it's a lot of glaring issues for this company that they're dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hopefully Rocksteady doesn't make the same mistake with the Suicide Squad Justice League game that's coming out, that's going to be paid as a service. Or games as a service, excuse me.
Rocksteady is going to blow that shit out the water. Because if you just look at what they did, with Batman, bro, I got 100% faith in Rocksteady, man.
Like, I believe they're going to deliver a good game, but the fact that game is games as a service already has me nervous. And, like, I'm a huge DC fan, so I'm going to buy it day one, but, like, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic with that game being games as a service. But I feel like the gameplay is going to be fine with that one.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And so do you guys have any final thoughts on Crystal Dynamics and how they're spoiling the community even more with the paid XP boosts?
So my only concern with Crystal Dynamics is Didn't they get confirmed to be helping out with Xbox's big quadruple A studio a while back? So
Yeah,
hopefully they don't
Perfect Dark.
take. Yeah, hopefully they don't take any of
Yeah.
this bullshit into Perfect Dark. That's my only concern.
Yeah, and that's the last thing Xbox needs to like. I mean, I'm not gonna write off the game because Crystal Dynamics is helping them working on it, but if they influence any sort of that type of behavior in Perfect Dark, it's gonna be a field day.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Metroid Dread, and this is definitely looking like a big hit for Nintendo. There's a lot of really positive praise. It's being critically acclaimed by many critics, which is a really good thing. And so I haven't personally bought the game, and I do have an issue with the price tag. I'm just gonna be honest here, and I'm in Canada, right? So the games cost about $80 here, and
Oh
if you wanted
yeah,
to get it physically, it's about $90 after tax. And I was
damn.
I really wanted to get it. I did hear a lot of positive impressions with many of the reviewers, and I've also did watch Maximilian stream. And if you don't know Maximilian, dude, he's a really cool video game content creator. He did focus this content on fighting games, but he's also a very good fan of the Metroid series. And I did watch a bit of his stream, and I have to say, like, this game is looking really promising with the level of animations that's going on, and the parry system looks really cool. And I do like the boss designs in the game as well. Like the bosses look really spot on, and there was a moment where like there was a cutscene that happened during the boss, and you can actually fire during the cutscene. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. And so I'm gonna pass it to the Melodic Punk. And what were your thoughts on Metroid Dread?
Metroid Dread so far, I'm really enjoying it. Because I wouldn't say I'm like a Metroid fan per se. I do like the series as a Nintendo fan naturally. I played basically a sample of all of them. I beat Zero Mission earlier in the year. And I absolutely liked it. I think it's the best way to play Metroid on NES without the NES-isms where, there's no map and you got to use long passwords to save the game and all that. So if you're looking for a good place to start in Metroid, give Zero Mission a shot. But Metroid Dread, I'm really enjoying it. Mercury Steam, they worked on Samus Returns, the Metroid 2 remake on 3DS. And it was a cool game, but the problem with that is with the size of the 3DS XL even, playing that game kind of hurt my thumbs after a while because of how the aiming works and all that. And with that game being at 30 frames per second, it just felt slow compared to most other Metroid games. Dread kind of eliminates those issues because the controls feel fantastic, both on handheld and on the Pro controller. It took a while to get the morph ball in this game, surprisingly. The aiming system, I don't really like the fact that you have to use the left analog stick to move. I'd rather have the D-pad to move, but it's understandable with how the aiming system in that game is. You get used to it really quickly. And the EMI bots, they're kind of like a love and hate thing. They add a cool layer of challenge in the game. Sometimes it can be a little bit annoying because to counter the Emmy bots, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge because you have that one 5-second window where you have to get a spot on counter or else you're gonna get an instant game over. But it's create a lot of fun moments in terms of trying to run away. It creates a fear factor in that game almost sort of. But yeah, Mercury Steam did a fantastic job, and I highly recommend it. If you have a Switch, definitely pick up Metroid Dread.
Oh yeah, I did see that the fact that there was a robot chasing you, and it kind of felt like Resident Evil 2 with the whole Mr. X thing. And yeah, I thought that was looked pretty
For real.
cool as well. And especially with the platforming, that must have been very nerve-wracking, with that thing chasing you around.
Yeah, especially with the non-linear nature of Metroid, figuring out where you have to go next, figuring out that you don't have that item, so you got to backtrack into another area. On top of all that, it becomes a good fresh challenge when it comes to Metroid. It doesn't do anything new per se as far as from the Metroid games that I played. This is definitely a game that's more so made for the fans, but the Emmy bots trying to escape from them, it does add that fun layer of challenge to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Bam Bam, have you checked out this game?
I did play this game. I played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of the game, and this is my first Metroid game I played since Game Boy Advance, so Super Metroid, whichever one that was on Game Boy
Mm-hmm.
Color or Game Boy Advance.
The
This is
Game
my
Boy
first
Advance
time
was
playing.
Zero Mission Infusion.
Yeah, so this is my first time playing since that one, and I definitely do. I gotta disagree with you, Crow. I do think this game is worth the $60, but again, you are in Canada, so that's $90 for you, which is a steep price for this game. But I'm one of those people that I love the 2D games. Like Hollow Knight, to me, that game is worth
Mm-hmm.
fucking $100 to me, in my opinion. That game is fire.
Oh yeah.
I would gladly play or pay way more money than the asking price of that $40 I paid for that game. And this game, the whole aesthetic, the art style, the whole vibe and feel that I got, when you wake up as Samus and she don't got no power ups, no nothing, and you walk out and when you first meet the first EMI bot, not the one with like the broke hand that you just go and shoot, but the next one that actually chases you like the tyrant. That shit
Oh.
that shit have your heart beating on 100 because you got to run, you got to platform, and just like Punk said, if you miss that timing, which you got to be spot on with that fucking timing. If you miss that, that's a game over, and you start over from where you last saved at. And I feel like that's something that could really spice up this game. Again, I haven't played the other Metroid games, so I can't really speak on if it's a good take on the game. But to me, I feel like this is something that I really like about this game, and I'm definitely gonna stick with it playing the game.
Yeah, like I mean, Metroid's really cool and all that, but I've always preferred the Castlevania style Metroidvania games, the ones that kind of give you experience points where you can find and equip different weapons and all that. And if you want
Yeah.
a fantastic Metroidvania, if you like Symphony of the Night, I highly recommend Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. That was my game of the year 2019. The map is huge. That game is fantastic. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that in there because you brought in Hollow Knight.
I'm gonna definitely try that out. But yeah, like I said, the price, man. I feel like just if you got the money to pay for it, if you got the money to buy it, if you appreciate the game for what it is, if it's worth it to you, buy it. If you don't think it's worth it, wait for a sale. I mean, either way, as long as you're not out here pirating a brand new game that's super brand new, they just came out a couple of days ago, just go out and support the developer because it's been a long time since the last game for this game came out. I've heard. And I feel like Nintendo definitely is going to be looking at these sales to see if they keep continuing on with Metroid games in the future.
Yeah, Metroid is the victim of Nintendo game franchise not selling all that great, especially in Japan. So hopefully this game gets the sales it needs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Support the
so
game,
I
please.
actually did see a post from Miss Click on Twitter, and if you don't know Miss Click, she's a content creator, she's a streamer, and she's also a panelist on the Spawncast. That's every Saturday.
She's a
And so,
Nintendo ambassador too, right?
yeah. She's
Okay.
definitely big on high on Nintendo, and she's Nintendo ambassador. So she did. I believe she's the one who started this trend on Twitter with the hashtag buy Metroid games. And I've actually looked into that. I'm not too familiar with the franchise, and so actually shout out to Hustle and Motivate. He did say this on Iron Lord's podcast. He said that Metroid has been one of the worst selling franchises for Nintendo. So that's a really sad truth to hear, and compared to the likes of Mario and Zelda, it's sad that Metroid hasn't gotten the same love. But as far as the whole topic of is a 2D platformer worth $60, I want to quote tweet RDT85. So he did say that Metroid Dread is worth the $60. End of discussion. And don't come at me with no stupid. You just love Nintendo. he spelled Nintendo as Nintendo.
Nintendo.
You just love Nintendo.
That's Southern language.
Because I am probably one of the most critical people of them on here, and you can base that on my Switch reviews I've done in the past. So looks like the community is going along with Miss Click's hashtag buy Metroid games. Looks like it is catching on. And the sales figures are looking pretty promising for this game. I do have a source of the UK physical chart that says that Metroid Dread has actually become the fastest selling game in the series history compared to its previous titles. So that's pretty special for the franchise.
Good to hear.
It's definitely a good step forward.
The one thing I've noticed with the Switch is like a lot of dormant or niche franchise. The Switch is a very healthy platform for those types of games because the Switch is like what 90 million units sold now since 2017.
Yeah,
Like
90 million.
every game that has came out for the Switch, especially titles that aren't as popular, it's been breaking sales records for the most part. I mean, Fire Emblem, that's a franchise that was originally like probably Nintendo's most niche franchise. That game sold ridiculously well on Switch, along with the 3DS versions of those games. So I always had faith that Metroid will be able to break records, whether it be this game or Prime 4, because of just the Switch's install base and the commitment that the Nintendo fan base has when it comes to buying all the exclusive games. Because that's the reason we all buy Nintendo, is for those exclusive experiences. And yeah, it is kind of disappointing to see that a lot of people are choosing to play the game on Yuzu and just not buy the game, period. Which, I mean, if you want to play it on Yuzu, no problem, or any other emulator, no problem. Just buy the game at least. Give them the support that they need.
Facts. I got a question for y'all too, since we was just talking about RGT 85. He was on Weapon Wheel this past Sunday, and he said that he didn't think that this Metroid game would hit 3 million within a year of it being out. Do you guys think Metroid will hit 3 million within a year of it being out?
I don't know if it'll exactly hit 3 million. I think it has it might have a better chance of doing so because all the
it just sold how
marketing.
much?
I don't know
how much, like 600,000.
Yeah, I don't know the exact sales number data, but if you think about it, though, all the Switch OLED marketing has been showing Metroid Dread, and on top of that, we're about to enter the holiday season where a lot of people are going to be trying to get the Switch. This might be one of the games that they try to bundle in together. So, if anything, like if it doesn't hit it this year, it's definitely going to be like one of those end of life sales that we're probably going to see. Where it's like it didn't make a whole lot at launch, but at least later on down the road, like we'll probably see it grow more. And Defloid is right. No Metroid has ever sold over 2 million. I think honestly the most successful Metroid has been Super Metroid and Metroid Prime. So
I think there has been one Metroid that has sold over 2 million.
I think Samus Returns
Prime.
hit the most, didn't it?
It was Prime 3.
When it Samus Returns?
Prime 3.
Which one was
Prime
it?
3, but it was like 2.3 million, so I'm not going to act like it was like 2.9 or anything crazy.
So it's decent for that franchise on the Wii. But no, I think it's going to be a time thing that we're just going to have to wait and see for that game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just wanted to know like your guys' thoughts on it because I thought that was kind of crazy to me because the Switch has been really breathing, a breath of fresh air into these games and helping out with the sales, just like you said, Punk. And I don't know. I thought maybe RGT may have, shot the gun on saying it wouldn't hit 3 million within this first year.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think he might have. Underestimated Metroid. The article I'm reading here from Game Industry Biz says that the game sold 3.5 times more copies at launch than the entirety of the last 2D Metroid game.
So it sold what, 600,000?
So the last 2D Metroid game sold 560,000 total units, and 3.5 times more than that.
Was the last one Metroid 2 or Metroid Fusion for 2D side-scroller?
Metroid Samus Returns, technically, if we're going to count remakes. If we're going to count in the core 2D Metroid series, Metroid Fusion.
Okay.
So if we're not counting remakes at all, then it would be Metroid Fusion.
Okay.
So if it's 3.5 times more sales, I mean, we're looking at 1.9 million sales right now.
Those are good numbers.
Those are
it's not bad.
Phenomenal numbers.
And it's not even the holiday season yet.
It's not. And let's see, Metroid Dread is less than 1,000 units away from overtaking Metroid Prime. And I'm not. Give me a quick second, guys. Metroid Prime sales are at 2.84 total. So it's getting close.
Yeah, I mean, I think Prime, like especially when Prime 4 comes out, I expect that to do better numbers because of that game being more of a first-person game. I think that's going to appeal to a bigger audience. But for a 2D Metroid coming out on the Switch, man, it's not too bad sales-wise right now. And the one thing I will say is like I got really bored with the Switch like late 2019 all throughout 2020. So picking up this game finally like is making me it's reminding me why I enjoyed the Switch during like the first 2 to 3 years of its lifespan. Like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with Metroid Dread, so hopefully they continue to pump out more games like it.
Yeah, for the Switch, 2019 was a huge year for them, but they kind of fell off on last year, and this year was
after Fire Emblem, it was
this year was it was definitely collecting dust, and so it's nice to have a really really good banger in Metroid Dread for the Switch, so it's a really huge deal. But I did want to get into this topic. Is the 2D platformer really worth $60? And if you do compare it to like Ori and the Blind Forest and the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, those games were priced at $30, and there are similar other indie titles like other platformers that are also under $30. So how do you guys feel about this debate? Is Metroid Dread worth the $60 when you compare it to like Ori and other 2D platformers?
I say yes. Because Metroid has been around for how long? 20 years, 25 years.
It practically created the Metroidvania genre.
Facts. Ori and the whatever the fuck that shit is called. I never played it, but Ori came out on the Xbox One gen, so that's a new game. Of course, a brand new 2D game coming into the realm of Metroidvania games is gonna have to come in and hit $30 or below, because who's gonna go out and buy a brand new 2D game? Hey, look, this is a brand new 2D game. It's $60. Should I buy this or not? You don't know what's going on with the game. You don't know who made the game. You know nothing about this game. So of course, them picking $30 versus Metroid coming out at $60. That's two totally different things. It's like Metroid is basically a household name, especially with Samus being in Smash. I feel like most gamers know about Metroid or Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I think with it's not so much of whether or not it's worth $60. I think it's really comes down to what do you think is worth it to you as a gamer? I mean, obviously this game is like 8 to 10 hours. A lot of, the Sony and some of the Microsoft exclusives kind of hit around that ballpark as well. I think it's less about, things like pricing and whether or not it's 2D or 3D. To me, if the game is good, it's going to be worth whatever, in my opinion. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, that's a $40 game, and certainly that game is fantastic. That game is packed with a bunch of content, especially in the main game. I feel like Metroid's production value with Mercury Steam, like, I don't know how much it exactly costs to make Metroid Dread, but I feel like that game compared to like other games similar to its style has a lot more production value behind it. And obviously with it being a Nintendo game, I'm pretty sure that game went through as much cleanup as possible, because we don't really see Nintendo games come out busted all that often. But for me, it's not really so much of whether or not a game is worth $60 or even $70. It's what type of game are you into? Are you into this franchise?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, play it for yourself and see if it's worth it to you. That's all I gotta say.
Facts.
Yeah, I would say that if it sells for $60, it's worth $60. I don't care what anybody says. If somebody's buying it for $60, that means that it's worth that amount of money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Ori and the Blind Forest sells at $35, and you can say, "Oh yeah, it's a new game, this and that." Who's gonna buy a 2D game in the era of a 3D, of eras of Battlefield and Call of Duties? We also have to understand, like 35 years ago when Metroid came out, the gaming industry was much, much smaller. probably 20 times, it's probably 20 times or 30 times the size now than it was back then. So having a game like Ori and the Blind Forest selling for $30 but reaching 20 or 30 times more people is irrelevant. Like, it's going to make its money back. And I think a lot of people, a lot of consumers especially, and especially entitled consumers, like to take the price point and confuse it and like twist and turn what value means to them. Like, a lot of people I see on the internet are like, oh, well, it's not worth $60 because the graphics. And I was like, that's valuable to you, but that's not valuable to anybody else.
Yeah.
For me, like, I have a 3090, I still play games on low settings. I don't care. Graphics is not like, I do not care. I'll play solitaire for the rest of my life.
Literally, I have a PC with a 1070 Ti, and I still play on Xbox and PS5 every now and then.
Yeah, so it's like the value of something is obviously subjective, and anybody who says that it isn't subjective, I implore them, if I give you $499 and I just tell you to go buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, it doesn't matter which one, and then you come back with a PlayStation, I'm going to ask you, why didn't you buy the Xbox? And if anything that comes out of your mouth that isn't, oh yeah, you're right, it was the same price, then that is completely subjective, because it is literally value, like pound for pound, the exact same product.
And honestly, I think it's kind of unfair that a lot of people are trying to equate a 2D game with a $60 price point, when the fact of the matter is we don't get a lot of 2D AAA games that often anyway. So who are you to say that just because this game's in 2D, it's not worth $60,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
A lot of
Like,
people
it
twist and
boggles my
turn
mind.
what they pick and choose what they want to, very selective about what they think is worth a
Yeah.
dollar, or worth $10, worth $600 or whatever, right? Like, at the end of the day, what you said is correct. Like, we don't have any AAA side-scrolling games, so support this one. And I think it's unfair to compare this game to like God of War. I saw that comparison. I don't even know if that was a legit thing or if it was like a joke or whatever, but I think it's
People are
kind of,
trying to push it.
yeah, I think that agenda there is ridiculous, because like, how could you compare apples to oranges? Like, not only is
just
it
to
on,
play, just to play
go
devil's
ahead.
advocate, I feel like I feel like that's a good comparison for the pricing, not for what type of game it is, but in the aspect of price. If if I'm going out, right, and if I'm looking at these two games, and somebody tells me, "Do you want to buy God of War for $60, or do you want to buy Metroid for $60?" With this new day and age of gaming, where gaming has reached more and more people each year now, gaming has blown up compared to when we first started gaming.
Yeah.
So with the new fan base and with these new people that are playing games, I feel like we might be in the minority saying that we would pay $60 for this game and say that it's just as good as God of War, because these new gamers, and I feel like the majority of people are going to look at this and they're going to have a problem with this, saying it's not worth $60, because if you look at other games like any other big AAA budget game that comes out at 60, they're going to have an issue with it because this game just doesn't compare to those games
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that all of that
at
is
face
like,
value.
that all of that is internal bias that you can see. Like, that is when people start picking and choosing. Well, God of War is on PlayStation. All my friends have
Yeah,
PlayStation, and like,
yeah.
that's the stuff that leans consumers from one to the other, right? If I gave you $60 and I told you to go buy a video game, and you went out and literally bought any video game that was worth $60, and you
Mm-hmm.
brought it back to me, and I said thank you, that would be the only actually only neutral stance that anybody could actually own. When you're in the store and you look at God of War and right next to Metroid Dread, you're gonna be like, Metroid Dread, you flip onto the back and you're like, oh, it's 2D, and that
Yeah,
is automatically going to alienate certain people. Like,
it's
go ahead.
it's basically judging a book by its cover at that point. Because, like, if you're like us, where we're in the know more often, you're gonna know that Metroid and God of War are two fundamentally different games.
Mm-hmm.
One's
Yeah.
very big budget, linear story based game, that has fantastic combat, and then the other one is a game that has story, but it doesn't really like have all the voice acting, all that stuff. 2D based game, non-linear, all that stuff. So it really comes down to just whether like what type of games you enjoy playing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the internal bias that I'm
Yeah.
is that people aren't understanding, like they have to actually get over before they like enter the neutrality crowd, right? Like
Yeah.
because that's what I say. Like if a game sells for $60 and people buy it for $60, it's worth $60. It might
Yeah.
not be worth $60 to you, but if MSRP says it's $60, somebody's going to buy it for $60. And as you can clearly tell, anybody who says, well, Metroid Dread isn't worth $60, well, the 2 million sales say otherwise.
Yeah, and you're gonna
Yeah.
have the people that say, "Oh, well, this game, along with other Nintendo games, like they're not worth $60. They never drop the price of their games." I'm like, look, if I was Nintendo and my games were flying off shelves along with my consoles, what's the point of dropping the price if I'm still gonna make money on Mario Kart 2 years later? I mean, think
And
about
Mario,
it.
Issue,
and
though,
Mario
Man,
Kart
man,
8
that
Nintendo
has
is
the
a-
finesse
outsold.
kings, man. Finesse
And
I
kings.
mean,
Yeah.
it's egregious. I'm not defending Nintendo on that, but if I was running that business, I'd be like, "Fuck no, we're not dropping the price on this game. It's still selling."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, regardless of how you want to say things, oh, value, this and that, it's not
Yeah.
subjective. This isn't worth $60. Bro, Mario Kart 8 outsold your favorite racing franchise.
That's facts.
For real.
That's big facts.
So I don't want to hear it. Like, and then you bring all this stuff up. You bring up actual facts and numbers and statistics to back up your claims, and people are like, well, well, it's on the Switch, dude. The Switch is
Yeah.
like $399. It's the same price as a PlayStation.
They don't want to hear that shit. Though.
$2.99,
They don't want to hear
actually.
the numbers and the facts because, like, in this community, we deal with a lot of fanboys, just like you said earlier, and they're only going based off of because the game isn't on PlayStation or Xbox or their favorite piece of plastic that is not worth that much money to them.
Wait, is the Switch $299? I thought the OLED was $399.
The OLED's $349.
Oh, $349.
Yeah, so it's
Okay,
$350.
so
Yeah.
it's like $300. Okay, so it's like $400. You pick up a controller or you pick up a game, right? It's $400, right? A PlayStation 5 is $499 or $399 digital. An Xbox Series S is like $300. So you're telling me that like you're not gonna pick up a Switch because of what? Again, it's like it's cheaper. It brings more quote unquote value to the table. Like, yeah, games are pricier, quote unquote, but I mean, I think $60 is a very generous price point. $60. I've been paying $60 for video games for like the last 2 decades, and being in the actual industry and seeing that like an $80 million game is like the normal. I'm like, bro, how are we gonna make money back on this? Like, I make salaries, so it's like I get paid regardless. But being in those meetings, it's like those guys are stressed. Like, yo, we got to put microtransactions in. We need 8 million sales in order to make money back. And plus marketing and everything like that. And it's like that's stressful bottom dollar stuff that people also don't take into account as well too.
Yeah.
But $60 with inflation, I mean, like an Atari was like $700 back in the day. And ain't nobody buying a $700 console right now.
Yeah, especially not in this climate where you can't even buy a damn GPU right now.
Yeah, so with Metroid, I think the biggest appeal, in regards to its price tag is the replayability aspect, and I think a lot of people have said that the hard mode in this game is a challenge, and it's worthwhile to replay the game in the hardest difficulty. So the replayability, I think is pretty big. Is pretty high on this game. But if you think about it, in the perspective of a price-conscious gamer, like if you compare this to Ratchet and Clank, I feel like the price-conscious gamer would choose Ratchet and Clank, considering that it is a Game of the Year candidate right now, and a lot of people have been enjoying the next gen experience on PS5. So I do agree with Deli that it is subjective, but for a price conscious gamer, I feel like people would resort to like a Resident Evil game or
and that's something that also And that's something, your finances also influence your ability to buy video games.
Yeah.
Like for you guys, like this could be an entire day's worth of work. This could be I can't buy this game until next month. You know, somebody down the street could be like, "Oh, this is only 2 hours worth of work." Like I don't, as long as I get 4 hours of, like, you know what I mean? Like in order to afford a $60 game is like an hour and some change worth of work for me. So as long as I get 2 hours of enjoyment out of it, like I'm cool, you know?
Yeah.
But there are people like Windu who are like, there's so much more that goes into like buying a video game. You can't buy every $60 video game. But for me, it's like $6 is a generous price point because I'm not buying 4 video games in 1 week. That's just not happening.
Yeah,
I
that's
buy like
right.
one video
Definitely
game
wouldn't do it either.
every 3 months. So to me, I'm like $60 is you know, like that's like, I don't know, a couple, 5 days worth of coffee, I guess. I don't know. I don't drink
Especially
coffee.
considering your backlog on top of it, because one of the main things I've been doing for most of my games beaten list this year is I've been going back to my backlog and just trying to clear some of these games I haven't touched yet. Because number one, like at the beginning of the year, there wasn't too much that I was really excited at playing, and number two, just like I didn't really want to spend too much money on game software this year because it's like,
Mhm.
look, there's not going to be a whole lot of games that I want to play until like 2022. Let's clear up some of the games that I've been sitting on the past like couple months or so. So there's that to consider as well, like how many games are you playing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so let's actually move on to our last topic here, which is Nintendo and game piracy. And I feel like the general consensus for PC gamers is that they consider them to be, the majority of people consider them to be pirates, as they're the ones always stealing games from like torrents and things like that. But we have an article here from Kotaku, and it looks like it did spark a huge war. It sparked a huge disarray amongst the Nintendo fan base. And we have a tweet here from Miss Click, which is referring to the Kotaku article. And she says that I expect this from children trying to justify their inappropriate behavior, not adults. Do better, Kotaku. I still stick by my opinions on stealing. Sorry if that offends you. And so the Kotaku article says Metroid Dread is running great on Switch emulators, and it talks about how it's playable in 4K now on Yuzu. So
Ryujinx actually, because Ryujinx allows you to change the native resolution where Yuzu plays on the native Switch resolution.
yeah. So how do you feel about Kotaku putting out this article here? I feel like this is a huge slap in the face for Nintendo fans, like them advertising an emulator. So how do you guys feel about Kotaku putting out this article?
I'm gonna let y'all go first because I might have the
Yeah.
hot take here.
I'm gonna let Captain Jack Sparrow go first.
All right, so I would be a hypocrite to immediately criticize Kotaku from the article, because I will admit Wednesday, like before Metroid came out, I did get access to the game early and I tried it out on YouTube just to see how it would run and everything. I played about 30 minutes of it, and then like I just stopped playing it mainly just because I felt like I don't want to say like it just did not feel right to me, because like I already have like bad anxiety and all this stuff. I'm like, well, do I really want to be advocating playing this game early? And granted, I pre-ordered the game and whatnot, but I immediately stopped playing just because I was like, well, I want to experience this the same time as everybody else has. I'm not trying to get in this mess of asking for screenshots to be shared or asking for like links and all that stuff. So I just deleted the files, deleted the emulator, and just waited till Friday to pick up the game from GameStop like everybody else, which I did not even know you actually get a pen set with Metroid Dread. So that's really cool. So I'm playing on the actual Switch itself, and I'm enjoying the game. I think this whole entitlement thing is an issue amongst PC gamers. A lot of them feel like, oh, well, since Nintendo aren't putting their games on PC, it's okay for us to just go pirate and steal. It's like, no, yes, Microsoft and Sony, they're looking at putting their games on PC, but that doesn't mean Nintendo should put theirs, put their games on PC. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we gotta stop expecting Nintendo to act like everybody else. Now that I admit to my wrongdoing and I admitted to doing the right thing by playing the game, especially playing it on the Switch, is emulation a bad thing? No, if the game is out of print, you cannot find it brand new anymore. I don't see a problem with emulating the game because if you see a lot of N64 and GameCube games on the used market, I'm not paying $150 to play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I'm sorry. And if Nintendo's not going to give me an official way to do it, then I'm going to boot up Dolphin and I'm going to play it until Nintendo provides me a GameCube Virtual Console service to where I can play the games legally while supporting them. In terms of pirating games that are currently out on the market that you can go out yourself and pick up and play, yeah, it's stealing. There's no argument, no debate about it. If you want to use it as a way to demo a game and all that stuff, that's fine. That's your business. But at the end of the day, we can't expect game developers to be doing all these things and then just, go behind their backs and just steal the game straight up. So, in bottom line, support the game no matter how you play it. Go out and buy a copy. You just do what you feel is right. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't really care if people I don't work for Nintendo or at Nintendo, so I don't really care if anybody decides to emulate or pirate. I could care less. It doesn't matter to me as long as as long as you do support and you go out and buy a copy of the game. Hey, do whatever you want to do. If you got the means to do it, hey, do you, dog? I'm not trying to stop anybody from doing or having fun. Do whatever you want to do, bro.
We don't advocate it, but we're also not going to snitch on you.
I do. I advocate it. I enjoy piracy. I like it. I'm as a game developer, I fully support it. No, as a game developer, I fully support piracy. If I make a product and you guys pirate it, I would gladly support it. I would gladly make a DRM-free product copy and put it out on the internet for you guys for free.
What?
I would gladly do that because I think that having anybody in playing the game and supporting the game in any way, shape, or form is more important than any numerical amount of money towards any publisher or towards anything. Because game developers at the end of the day make salary.
Yeah.
So their salary does not change. Yeah, go ahead.
I was surprised at that answer.
Yeah, me too. So let's say you worked at a company, right? Let's say you worked somewhere and then they told you, okay, Deli, this is you and your team's last chance before we kick y'all ass out the door. If the game don't sell 3 to 4 million, you're done, Zoe. You're done. We're going to put a fork in you. You're finished.
That's fine. I don't want to work for that company anyways.
Okay. So you would still stand by that statement?
I would still stand by that statement 100,000% because at the end of the day, I get paid salary.
Word.
I don't have a bonus on the line. I don't have an ass on the line. I don't have my company being shut down. I'm still I still worked on a product. I still got paid for. 2, I could still put it on a resume. 3, I could transfer somebody else somewhere else where things are better working environment. But at the end of the day, with the amount of BS in the industry, I see no problem with somebody illegally attaining the game or emulating the game as a developer. I fully welcome it, and I really appreciate anybody who has any ability to get their hands on the game. Now, the reason why I say this, a large reason why I say this, is because not everybody is pirating our game, right? If you look at the sales numbers for Watchdogs Legion, which I'll pull up here so I can have actual concrete evidence. Watchdogs Legion sales. I know a lot of people don't expect it. Watchdog Legion sales are currently for February 6, 2021, so beginning of the year. Watchdogs Legion sold 1.9 million digital units in 3 days. So they've sold quite a bit of sales here over this over this last year, because it's approaching a year now. So I'm gonna with 2 million sales within 3 days, I'm gonna ballpark it around. It's probably around like 3 to 4 million sales now total within the year, right? So almost 5. Let's say 5 million sales, right? Realistically, 1% of that is pirated. So you still get the money, the developers still get paid, and you still have the ability to track interests and understand franchising and marketing, right? The money doesn't come out the developers' pockets. The money comes out the pockets of a publisher. Now, if my job gets axed because you guys didn't buy my game legally, that's perfectly fine. It is what it is. That is the risk that comes with making games or making franchises or making, a product that you put out on the open market. But if the product was good and stood on it and has a long-standing reputation, then it doesn't matter how much a game gets pirated, it will, and I mean this sincerely, it will survive. Look at Call of Duty. Look at
How would you
Skyrim.
feel? How would you feel if you were in Cliff Bleszinski's shoes? You remember when he left and he made his own studio, that Boss Studio or Boss Key Productions? How would you feel if you were Cliff Bleszinski and you know what I'm saying, and you like you used your own money into building this company from the ground up, and then people went out and they stole your product? Because I feel like that's a whole nother different type of conversation.
I mean, I would still stand by it. I'm not even gonna lie. I would still stand by that statement because, like I said, if the product was good, it would be long-standing. 100% of your community will not be pirating your game. Like, it's just impossible. There will be one person who buys it. There will be hundreds of people who buys the game. And if that's not enough, that's perfectly fine because it was not a good product, right? Because the chances are that people who pirate your game and play it religiously, right? Like, let's say somebody pirates Zelda Breath of the Wild and puts 300 hours into it. There's a slim chance that person isn't going to go out, trash the game and be like, nah, I didn't buy it, and let all my friends have it. No, a lot of the time, they're gonna advocate this game is great. I put a ton of hours into it. If I get some spare change, I will definitely go out and buy it. But a lot of people who pirate games will play it for 2 or 3 hours and be like, yo, this game is trash, and put it down. So a lot of the, like 90%, 95% of people who pirate games aren't even originally intending to support the game in the first place.
And I definitely see that because even whenever I was trying Dread on Yuzu, if anything, it got me more excited to pick up the game when it officially came out on Switch. But like, I guess my kind of like my thought is so like why we need to be supporting games like Metroid coming out day one, like not exactly a day one sale, but pick up the game brand new, whatever, is that in the community that we're in, especially what I see on my timeline, there are people, regardless of whether or not they love or hate Nintendo, a lot of people are just pirating Nintendo games straight up. Like, whether or not they had the intention to buy the game or not, they're pirating it straight up because they don't like this, what Nintendo is doing in terms of features on the actual console itself or the power, which I understand, but that doesn't automatically give you the right to go out and just steal a game straight up. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, be holier than thou or whatever. Because, like I said, I do use emulators and everything because that is a service issue on Nintendo's games in terms of preserving their own old school classic library. But if a game like Metroid just came out and if you are playing the game early and you enjoy it, go out and buy a copy of it.
Oh yeah, 100,000%. Like I don't, like I said, a lot of the people who pirate the games aren't intending to play it, but the people who are very serious about the game, like genuinely serious about the game, will eventually go out and spend the money. The money will cycle its way back into the hands of the publisher, but there's no reason that a person who isn't going to spend money on your game, like there's no reason to try to market to those people. They weren't even trying to buy your game in the first place. So let them have it. Let them log the 2 hours that they will log into it, and let them put it down and collect dust on their hard drive. I see no problems with that at all. And the reason why like I said, a lot of the reason why I feel this way is because my cohorts over at the studio that made Rhyme, these guys are hilarious. They had said, like, if you guys can crack our DRM game if you guys can crack it, we'll put the game out DRM free. And the guys are, like I said, the guys who are serious about all this stuff usually ends up supporting it anyways. They cracked that game in 48 hours. So you know what the guys from Rhyme did? They put the game out for free. And you know how many sales Rhyme has? Rhyme has a butt ton of sales.
Yeah, and CD Projekt Red, like they kind of basically have always said, like, if you for some reason are questioning the quality of our games, this is kind of paraphrasing them, feel free to pirate our games, because they don't put DRM on any of their games, and
Yeah.
they're one of
Yeah.
the most beloved developers for like The Witcher 3 and whatnot.
And and I think they would be hypocritical to have DRM in the first place, because the CEO and his gang of buddies actually used to sell pirated games in high school.
Yeah.
That's what funded their company. So I think if they went back on it and said, "Oh no, we put DRM in our games," I think that'd be very hypocritical, especially talking about how they, came to be.
So yeah, back to the topic of Nintendo and Nintendo specifically and game piracy, and to piggyback off of the Melodic Punk's point of the power argument, I feel like that plays a part into it, especially with the Steam Deck. When the Steam Deck was announced, a lot of people had the notion that, oh, I'm gonna emulate Nintendo games, I'm gonna pirate Nintendo games. So I do think the power is a strong argument in regard to that, especially that they just came out with the OLED Switch model with no power upgrades at all, which is kind of upsetting. But with the chip shortage at the moment, I think that was the move they had to go with the no power upgrades with the Switch.
But like one of the things I've always said is, like, even before the Switch came out, we all expected that this wasn't going to be as powerful as at least the base Xbox One. So I don't know why people act so surprised when the Switch is not as powerful as they wanted to. Because keep in mind, they got to keep the battery life consistent on this device because it is a portable system. If, going back to the whole Game Gear argument, Sega put out the Game Gear back when the Game Boy was on the market. Sure, it had colors and everything, but the battery life compared to the Game Boy was horrible. Whereas the Game Boy could last all day and the Game Gear only lasts like, what, 2 to 3 hours? And it's like, that's not to say that I don't want Nintendo to go back and make a more powerful version of the Switch or make a next gen console that kind of follows the Switch's formula. But the thing is like, I think their perspective is that, look, we've tried the power narrative before with N64 and with GameCube, and it didn't do us any favors. Like, we ended up being dead last behind the PS1, the PS2, and the original Xbox. So instead, let's just go by the beat of our own drum and just appeal to, more families when it comes to the Wii, or appeal to everybody when it comes to the idea of just, hey, our handheld line is probably the best thing we got. Let's just focus on making a handheld that you can dock and go and all that stuff. And honestly, like, my whole thing with the power is just like, yeah, some Switch games run like crap. Like, there's no debate on that at all. But at the same time, you have plenty of options. We're all multi-platform owners, as far as I know. So it's like you have options. And at the end of the day, I think people buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games. So at that point, what's the point of having a more powerful Switch if all we're going to be doing is playing one type of game on there anyway?
Yeah, and maybe the other side of the coin is that since I'm just gonna like we all have the consensus that Nintendo are finesse kings with the practices that they've been doing as of late. Like if you take in the fact that with Skyward Sword you need a amiibo just to fast travel in the game. And also with this Metroid Dread game, they also have a special amiibo that does special things. You get special unlocks as well in this game as well.
I can see why people are.
So do you think maybe because of their practices as of late, they're purposely emulating and pirating Nintendo games instead of supporting Nintendo?
But my question is who's forcing you to buy the amiibo anyway? If you look at the amiibo, they're a physical cheat code. So if anything, like, if you're wanting to play the game and have, more of a challenge, you don't need to buy the amiibo at all. Like, the fact that people are buying the Skyward Sword amiibo to fast travel, like, you can go to any bird statue in that game and go up to the sky at any time. So I can understand if it was like, oh, we're gonna unlock hard mode behind an amiibo, like with the Twilight Princess HD, they unlock the double damage mode behind the Ganondorf amiibo. That's not okay. But the fact that all these amiibos have been to make the game easier, it doesn't bother me at all because nobody's forcing a gun to my head and say you need to buy this. So again, it's just one of those
It's-
things where I think it's fake outrage. It's not okay, but you don't
fake
need it.
news, man. It's fake news. It's options are great. We all love options.
Yeah. And
It's
honestly,
optional.
most Nintendo fans buy amiibos for collectibles anyway, not to really use it, as far as I know.
I'm just saying it from like it's kind of like a DLC at that point, with the fact that you had to buy amiibo.
I mean, like you don't have to.
But
that's
nobody's
the thing,
forcing you to buy
you don't
it.
have to pay it. You don't have to pay it.
And it's so
Crow's point, though.
inconsequential.
But I get Crow's point though. Like, why did they take that out of the base game just to lock it behind an amiibo? That's the scummy part about it. They
didn't take
locked
anything
this
out of
one
the
part
base
of
game
the
for Zelda.
I don't feel like they took anything.
I'm talking about the whole fast travel aspect. Like that was part of the
they didn't take that out. No, that's in the game technically.
I know it's still in the game, but I'm saying the whole aspect of being able to do it from anywhere. Like if you buy the amiibo versus you got to go to a bird statue.
I mean,
that wasn't taken out of the game. That was a feature that they added to make the game easier. And to me, somebody who's beaten Skyward Sword before, you don't need that amiibo at all. So, it's really for the people who feel like they want an easier time with the game.
I mean, it's just, but to me, it was kind of annoying just seeing that I can't fast travel anywhere, that I got to go to a bird statue because I played and beat the remake. It's just, I mean, well, not the remake, but like the HD version. But it's just, to me, that like it was kind of annoying seeing them do that when they could have just left it in the game, period. Because just like you said, most people are buying these amiibos to collect them anyways. So why do this?
You're saying left it in the game, assuming that it was in the game in the first place. It wasn't at all.
It wasn't in the game in the first place.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like,
this it's just an accessibility option, basically, if you want to look at it that way.
I mean, if you wanted it free, if you wanted it free in the game, if you just wanted to add it into the game and then, whatever. But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt or help the game in any way, shape, or form. Or at least the original game. Yeah. So I think it's just it
doesn't hurt the game at all. It's just annoying seeing them do this because you can't tell me that this couldn't have been in the game for everybody to use.
If we're looking at it,
legit a cash grab.
I mean, was it in the original game?
It wasn't in the original game. No.
All right then. Then they didn't remove anything from the game.
I'm not saying that they didn't remove it. I'm saying that this feature to fast travel anywhere in the game, they took that away from everybody and put it behind an amiibo purchase because you can't tell me that this wasn't a feature that was going to be in the game.
That's what
before
I'm saying.
They got the idea.
If it wasn't originally in the game, then they're not taking it from anybody.
As a Zelda veteran, it doesn't bother me at all. So,
really?
I mean,
but the thing, no, don't get me wrong.
Disagree on that, bro.
If it was like a Master Quest sort of scenario where it was like completely new dungeons, I'd be on board with you all. But the amiibos that have been coming out lately, they're just options to make the game easier. Nobody has to buy them. If they locked Metroid hard mode behind the amiibos, then yeah, I would be on board with all y'all. But the fact that they literally add health and missile ammo, it doesn't bother me at all. It's like, all right, if I want to make the game easier, then yeah, buy the amiibo, but you really don't need to buy it at all. And it's not me trying to defend Nintendo or anything. It's just it is what it is.
I feel you on that. I can agree with you on that, but to me, all I'm saying is this feature should have been in the game for everybody to use versus you having to buy an amiibo to be able to fast travel anywhere in the game.
I understand.
That's just my opinion.
I understand your feelings and your sentiments. I can't relate to them because since they're not in the original product, and this is an HD remake, this is not a remaster, this isn't a remake, this isn't a ground up or whatever, I don't see a problem with them just one-to-oneing the game.
Did you play the game, though?
I haven't played the game, no.
I played it.
So for me, since I played the game, right, it's just annoying. I'm not taking away your point just because you didn't play the game. I'm just saying, for me, beating the game and then it got annoying having to go to these.
No, I get it. I totally understand. I just, like I said, I can't relate to it because I'm like, if it wasn't in the original game, then I don't feel like they're taking anything out.
Yeah, I feel you.
But if you said like this shit was annoying, and I feel like this isn't worth the amiibo, I'd be on board with that statement, because I feel like any feature that's accessible to a video game, especially a game that's older, should be automatically in the game in the first place. I'm a huge fan of accessibility features. I suck at video games, so I'm always happy to make games easier. I'm always happy to have options in games, but to have an option that you have to go out of your way, that feels like it should already been included in the game, and spend, I don't know what the amiibos cost, $15.
Like $20, something like that.
Depends on what you get.
Not everybody has $20 in their pocket for the ability to fast travel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand. I understand your sentiment.
Okay. Yeah, so, do you guys have any final thoughts, final say on the whole Nintendo and game piracy topic?
I mean, if you guys do you guys genuinely surprised about my stance on piracy?
Because you're a developer,
Honestly,
or like
yeah.
an ex-developer, so I figured you would want
I
people
was
to
kind of
actually
shocked,
go
but
out.
not gonna lie, yo.
Yeah.
Like,
I
do
was
you
like,
think for an indie developer would take more would take more consideration on the whole piracy deal? Like, they value each and every game sale, right, for an indie developer?
I mean, yeah, but a lot of these times these indie developers have like bulk money, cash and given in hand, or they work with a publisher, or like something like Epic Games is like dealt with, right? Like, at the end of the day, when you put the game on PC, it's going to get pirated regardless. Like, however you feel about it, it's going to get pirated regardless. Going out of your way to prevent something that's going to happen, you might as well calculate that within your cost, right? Within your means. So that's why I say, like, as a developer, I don't care. And with my own company and making indie games and contracting work out to other people, like, honestly, I don't even care when people like repost my artwork, or like, don't credit me on things, because at the end of the day, it's out there. I'm happy with it. I understand that not a lot of people will share this sentiment with me, or maybe the vocal minority don't share this sentiment, but piracy is not going to stop on PC. The only way you can really genuinely stop piracy is to I don't know, not put it on PC, put it on PlayStation or Xbox, and that way you'll be able to get all your sales. You'll have a publisher regulate it and everything like that. You'll be able to go through all the checks and balances and the DRMs, but then you'll also see a hit to your sales because you're locking it behind a certain audience. So that's the pro and the con of piracy. It can work for you, and it can definitely work against you, as we saw in the what's his face, the creative director of Days Gone. He was like, my first game that we made in our studio got pirated, and we lost like potentially like 200,000 units. It's like, how do you know there were 200,000 units just floating out, on the internet being pirated? Like, if you have the ability to track that, then you definitely have the ability to get your money back. You know what I mean? But if you're not losing that, because if you could track each and individual player and say like, oh, you spent 30 hours on the game, then you would have known, oh, you definitely lost a copy of the game. Like, you definitely didn't get your money. But at the same time, the studio still succeeded. The studio still made a second game. The studio still, I mean, he's still working there. He was able to work on an IP that people didn't pirate, and it didn't do well. So I don't understand the complaints.
Okay.
If
Yeah, so it is getting a bit late here, so I didn't want to wrap up the show. And yeah, actually, did anyone have any final thoughts on this game piracy thing with Nintendo?
No, that's it, bro.
Okay,
Nintendo, please offer Virtual Console on your Switch. That's all I want to say.
yeah,
I
just
want
support it.
GameCube games on the Switch.
If you support it, there won't be workarounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. it's very good to support Nintendo games, and these developers have worked very hard for these games. So it's a very good thing to support these devs. And it's definitely a very good episode. It's a very good discussions on topics, and I appreciate you guys coming through. And so let's go with the art shows, and let's go with Agent Deli.
Hi, my name is Agent Deli. Thank you, Krow, again for having me back week after week, or every other week. As you guys know, I'm an ex-Ubisoft developer, ex-AAA developer, currently working for the U.S. government. I'm doing development work. And apparently a pro piracy developer. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitch. You guys can find me on Twitter at /Agent Deli. I greatly welcome anybody interacting me on Twitter. I always appreciate it. So thank you again for having me on the show. Thank you again, Bam, for returning on the show, and Punk, thank you for coming back on the show. It's nice to see some familiar faces.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. And let's go with the homie Bam Bam V3.
Hey man, Krow, it's been a pleasure as always, man. I love chopping it up with you. Giving my shitty opinions on these video games, whether it be Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox. Punk, brother, it was nice meeting you. Chopping it up with you.
Nice to meet you.
Deli, my brother. I heard you say that you already follow Strictly. That shit hit me in my heart, but hey, man, it is what it is.
It is. Hey, look, I had to do what I had to do, bro. I had to. When he loses at Forza, I'm taking that back.
Cool. But yeah, man, just appreciate you, Krow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt, man. You're definitely have an interesting personality, so really appreciate you coming through. And let's go with the Melodic Punk.
Great show tonight. Great conversations. One of the best things about coming back to daytime is finally being able to do a podcast and finally being able to do a full podcast on a weeknight of all cases. You can find me at TheMelodicPunk on YouTube, Twitter, and you can find me on Twitch at MelodicPunk. I'm looking at doing Monday and Wednesdays as my schedule, with Friday and Saturdays being, optional days for me. I mainly stream a lot of Halo Master Chief Collection, some Splitgate. Looking forward to Halo Infinite. And I'm working on a new playthrough series called Death Stranding Noir, where I basically play Death Stranding in black and white, and it looks a little, artsy and whatnot. So gonna be doing another part of that because people showed up for the first one. And yeah, gonna be busy with trying to get some more content out soon. I'm doing a lot of music stuff as well. Odd One Out, you can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Bandcamp at Trenton Walls. And then I'm working on an instrumental track for somebody in the community. So I'm definitely keeping myself busy in my spare time, and thank you for having me on.
Mm-hmm.
Fire.
Yeah, always appreciate your input, man. You're definitely a good panel member, and I appreciate your input on the topics. And so, appreciate you guys tuning in live on the chat. Appreciate the support, and for you guys who do tune in later and do watch the stream later and listen to the podcast, please remember to leave a like and hit the subscribe if you enjoy what we do. And we are trying to do a bi-weekly podcast over here. That's every Wednesday at about 7 p.m. Eastern. So you can stay tuned for that. And yeah, I really do appreciate the support. We're trying to get to 100 subs, and we're trying to build that niche community over here. And so if you like what we're doing, please leave the like and leave a comment as well. So really do appreciate the leave a comment. So I will definitely get back to you on the comments. And yeah, so this is your boy Theslykrow signing off, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.